And for the last game in the divisional round, we have the LA Rams versus the Bears, the 2 seed versus the 5 seed, playing at Soldier Field with the Rams as a slight favorite. And for this game, I think we've got two high-powered offense here, two really exciting offenses. So this could be maybe the most fun to watch game of the weekend, the one to keep your eye on if you're just flipping through channels. I think this is the one to tune into and really lock in. Don't change because there can be fireworks. Both teams could blow up, as we saw with the Bears last week. They can look like absolute crap for the majority of the game, and all of a sudden pour on a ton of yards, a ton of points, make it a game. So it doesn't matter, time or place, what that number is looking like. Make sure to keep it on because I think we're going to see fireworks. I think the Rams, probably the most consistent offense in the league this year. They've got the number one passing offense with Stafford, most passing touchdowns as well as yardage. And then the run game is nothing to scoff at either, especially now that they've developed the 1-2 punch between Corum and Kyren Williams. Um, both of those guys can catch it out of the backfield. They can both carry it between outside the tackles. Very consistent. Not a lot of turnovers coming out of these guys. In the last few weeks, Stafford has been a little shakier, maybe throwing the ball to the other team more than he should. But it's the playoffs, Well, we have to imagine that they're going to tighten it up. And this Bears team is the right team to capitalize on that because they are a high turnover team and they allow a lot of yardage. So if they can just find the right moments to swing the energy of the game, they could make it interesting. But at the end of the day, I just believe in Matt Stafford a lot more than I believe in Caleb Williams. These late game miracles that we've been seeing from the Bears, they're awesome. They're super fun to watch, but I wouldn't bet on them against a team like the Rams. I don't think that you can keep praying for a miracle at the end of these games and showing up and carrying on to the next week of the playoffs. I believe that consistency is really important in the NFL if you're going to go all the way. And I don't think the Bears are consistent enough. I think Caleb, wow, everybody is wowed by the, best pass attempts of the season. I think he's got three different passes this year that people are looking at and saying, is that the best pass I've seen in my life? Those are great high points, but he has so many pass attempts where it's, he's flushed out of the pocket. He makes this pass, seemingly in his sleep, and then he'll sail a 10-yard out, 20 yards downfield out of bounds. And if your QB is coming out throwing for 300 yards on 50% completion, I think that's an issue, and that's not something that you can rely on week in and week out. So I think I'm taking the Rams. I think as long as they can maintain a healthy balance between that running and passing game, they'll be able to find Puka in moments. He can get it free. The DBs in Chicago are nothing to scoff at. Deshaun, and then
Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker.
Brisker. Who's the other corner?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's fine.
Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson. Those guys are pretty solid, but I don't think anybody is going to be able to lock down Puka Nacua. And I think that the run game is going to be able to just, keep these drives balanced, keep them moving down the field consistently. I don't think Stafford is going to make a ton of mistakes the way I expect Caleb to. And so at the end of the day, I'm taking the Rams.
I'll be honest, I've been going back and forth on this game a lot. Like you mentioned, with the Chicago defense, they do like to run a lot of zone coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And that can get you through a season fine, but when you're going against Stafford and Puka Nacua and the Rams offense, I think they're going to really struggle with that. Like you mentioned, I don't see anyone stopping Puka, especially if you're running zone coverage, where he can just find the gaps essentially every play. But then on the offensive side of the ball for Chicago, I really love this offense. I love what Caleb's doing. He has so many weapons. Colson Loveland has showed up huge these last couple of weeks. That's 3 games in a row over 90 receiving yards. And then you have Luther Burden, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. And so he just has so many weapons. He has a good O-line. He has a good run game. The offense essentially has it all. One thing that does worry me is the defense, though. They like to give up a ton of yards and then find ways to mitigate that. And I just think they'll struggle to do that with Stafford. So I think the offense will be fine. Defense led by Chris Shula, head coaching candidate, and a few teams this offseason. He'll have the defense ready. Byron Young and Jared Verse, maybe one of the best defensive end tandems in the league.
Yeah, definitely.
The defense does look good, but like I did with the last game, I think my gut is telling me Chicago for some reason, and so yeah, I'm gonna pick Chicago. I think Ben Johnson's gonna have them fired up.
Yeah, and I think I may have downplayed the firepower on Chicago's side. Like I talked too much about Caleb Williams and how I don't believe in the consistency there. But you're absolutely right that the weapons are crazy. He might have the best depth at receiver because nobody else in the league has guys like Olamide Zaccheaus as the 4, Burden as the 3. I think that they have way too many options. And Loveland with Komet, they've just got so many places to put the football. 2 backs in the backfield that probably about the same talent level as Kyren and Corum. So there's a lot of reasons to like the Chicago offense. I just personally think I like you said, that pass rush tandem for the Rams, Byron, and then on the other side we have Jared Verse. And those guys I think are going to get there. They got a lot of pressures last week. They didn't quite get home, but I think this week, they flush Caleb out quite a bit. He makes some mistakes. Also, a big thing that happened last week is TJ Edwards came back and then immediately got injured, went on the IR. And so, they were hoping for him to really glue that defense together for the postseason, and that dream went away pretty fast. And I think that the Rams are built to pick apart teams across the middle of the field. And I just, despite all the weaponry, despite, the great play calling, that first half of that Bears game, if you watch that and had any faith in this team, I'm a little confused because it's just, the miracle was awesome at the end. The big comeback is great and it's exciting, but that team looked terrible. Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams looked like they wanted to kill each other. They looked like they were gonna, hire hitmen after the game and put each other down. I don't know that these guys, I think they're both amazingly talented. I think that they can figure it out long term. I'm not saying this is going to, create problems going to their future, that I don't believe in the future of this team. I just don't see how, you come off of a week like that and come in against the Rams, even if you're at home, and just, walk away with an easy win. I think that the Rams are going to walk away from last week and the trials and tribulations they went through. Obviously they struggled, but I think they're going to be able to walk out of their close win having learned a lot more. I'm not sure that Caleb is going to walk away a completely different person this week. I think we're going to see, or we could potentially see, a similar game flow where he needs to come back in the fourth quarter and can't quite pull it off this week. That's what I expect to happen. Although, it's the NFL playoffs. The reason we watch is anything can happen. So I'm excited to tune in, and I'd love to see new young quarterbacks step up and have a big game. But if I was a betting man, and I am, I'm taking the Rams.
One of the last things I want to note here is Stafford last week. There was a play in the game, I think about halfway through, where he injured his hand or his finger on the follow through. And then I think he went 2 for 10 after that.
Oh, that's good.
So I am slightly curious in seeing the injury report this week, although
looks like the injury report is not showing him right now, but still, that could be.
Like I mentioned, in the playoffs, injury reports are anyone's guess how accurate they are. So totally. Even if he does have issues with his throwing hand, they won't be telling there. But it is one thing to note. He did lead a comeback, so at the end of the day, I don't think it's really anything to worry about too much, but something to consider. Yeah. And for the Rams, I mean, while we talk so much about the defense, they did just give up a lot of points to a Carolina Panthers team.
Totally.
Should be a good one.